Hello, my name is Deloatch-Brewster, and I am presenting my leadership growth plan and course learning assignment for EDLE 6341 using data to improve the school. During this semester, I focused on the motivating and mobilizing and accountability areas for my leadership growth profile. In motivating and mobilizing, I scored 42, which indicates growth or growth is needed, and accountability, which I scored 50 at the functioning level, but I would like to improve in both of those areas. I will discuss some of the leadership behaviors and some of the activities that I use to impact those particular areas. My first goal was motivating and mobilizing. I sought to improve the culture of participation and collaboration at my school by seeking input and feedback from the school stakeholders, the parents, the students, and of course our staff regarding strategies to improve the school's environment, the activities, the climate, and the culture. Okay. The first behavior in motivating and mobilizing was creating and administering a building level perception survey for students and staff in order to seek feedback on what's working, what's not working, and what's needed in the school. So in January and February, we developed a student communication survey and a family engagement survey, and we've got some pretty good information on what our students need and what our students and our parents know about the school and how they find out about activities. Another behavior was working with the school's leadership team to provide opportunities for students and staff to participate in clubs and activities in which they're interested in. We're hoping to build engagement for our students and our staff by having them to be involved in things within the school that they enjoy that also impact learning. So in February, during our staff meeting, we asked staff to choose an interest and to start a club or get involved in a club where they will have an opportunity to work alongside students. We did have a number of teachers to get involved. We had a chess club, a piano club, and also a dance club started at the school. We plan to continue this activity in 2021 as a way to get students and staff to develop relationships that are professional, but also that are nurturing. Behavior number 3 was increase the opportunities for students and staff to be recognized as it related to just positive, the positive school environment. We are a PBIS school. This is our first year in implementation. We kicked off a celebration in January, and we also celebrated our staff from the first semester by having a awards giving during our staff meeting where we gave out prizes. Goal number 2 is accountability. In goal number 2, we wanted to improve, I wanted to improve the level of accountability within the school as it relates to school-wide student achievement by sharing data and engaging in dialogue with our students, our staff, and the stakeholders of the school. My first behavior in goal number 2, accountability, involved facilitating grade level assemblies for our students in order to share achievement and behavior data, but also to share that data with parents and stakeholders every 30 to 60 days. In January, at our PTA meeting, we shared the benchmark scores from our first semester and also our semester discipline and behavior numbers to show our parents, our students, and of course our stakeholders how well our students have done this year versus last year as it relates to staying in the classroom, being on task, and of course student achievement, scoring well on the test. Now, prior to doing that, we made sure that we presented that data to our students first. And the reason we did that is we wanted students to be able to go home and talk about that with their parents. So in our PTO meeting or PTSO meeting, they understood where we were going. And most importantly, students were able to gain buy-in from seeing that data and having a discussion about that data. Our second behavior and accountability involved meeting with the discipline team in order to improve our school-wide behavior and attendance. And we did this by monitoring and reducing the number of out-of-school suspensions. To impact this, what we did is we had our discipline team members go into grade level planning meetings, give resources and training to teachers on dealing with adverse classroom behaviors. And we took them to sites like pbis.org, which is a site that allows them to find behaviors that are classroom level behaviors and prescribe interventions for them. In addition to this, we reached out to one of the local high schools and we had ROTC cadets, JROTC cadets come over to our school And what they did is they facilitated character education classes for our students on Saturday. They earned community service hours, and our students had an opportunity to work with younger people and discuss some of the anger management issues and some of the problem-solving issues that they had. And we made it fun for our students. And rather than suspending them, we gave them an opportunity to learn about different ways of addressing their behavior. Third behavior under accountability is collaboration with our grade level chairs and, of course, the school's leadership team to make sure the RTI process was active throughout our school. For Point South, as you know, from the comprehensive data profile, we've struggled with behavior and especially student achievement for the last 2 to 3 years. And what we wanted to do is make sure we identified students that were in need of support, and we prescribed that support for academics, and we look for support for behavior and social and emotional learning through our circular support team. Therefore, we may have those meetings on Monday. We make sure we identify students that had those areas of needs, and we made sure that our social workers, our counselors, our school psychologists worked to make sure those families had support systems in place. And at the same time, we discussed our students in SST and the RTI process to make sure they had support as it relates to academic instruction. And that's how we chose our groups for extra clubs, extra activities, but also our students for our after-school remediations program. Now, as far as my leadership goal, I think this, as my first year as an assistant principal, I'm continuing to work towards my leadership abilities as identified in the leadership growth plan. While these activities that I've mentioned aren't exhaustive, they don't involve all the things that I do in this school. They do provide an indication of some actions and activities that I've taken, some steps that I've taken to work towards the goals that are listed in the leadership plan. Now, my plan is to continue to apply the knowledge and skills that I've learned in this class and my other classes in the Tier 1 leadership program to help to improve my school and to develop the skills and the knowledge that will help me to be a more effective leader. Specifically, from what I learned this semester, is making sure that I am a data-driven leader, that I encourage an environment that is a data culture that looks towards growth and strength for our students. Now, the second part of the video involves me listing 5 other things that I learned, or talking about 5 things that I've learned. And I'm just going to go by module. In module 1, equity was a big issue. I learned what equity means for students, and that we have to understand the difference between equity and set-asides and preference. We have to make sure we look at subgroups when we look at our state data and determine the strengths and the needs for all of our demographic groups, from economically disadvantaged to different racial groups, and make sure that we're not singling out or discriminating against a group or preventing a group from learning based on our actions and strategies throughout the school. Datno and Park and Gary Howard in their articles talk about this. In module 2, we looked again at state and district data to develop a comprehensive data profile for the school. And with that, we conducted a root cause analysis in which I learned a very important concept from driven by data. And that is that if you're going to really be serious about a data-driven culture, you have to let teachers not only answer questions and answer problems, but come up with their own questions about the data so that they can feel more involved, and they can also be more engaged in resolving some of the issues that they see in the data. That's on our way to building a culture of data, a culture that's positive for data. Module 3, our readings were from Thomas Gusky, the Ontario Leadership Group, and it talked about just the role of assessments in the classroom and interim assessments, and how we use the data from those assessments in order to plan instruction and to drive student growth. Okay, we conducted an inventory of the assessments that we use, and I actually had an opportunity to look at it and see how we were using those assessments to help our students. Module 4, we talked about, again, driving a data-driven mindset in our school and a data-driven culture, so it can improve instruction and student growth within the school. We also looked at the negative impact on grading policies that punish students. 0 grading policies, where if a student doesn't turn in the work or turns it in late, they get lowered points than they would as a range of grades from A to B to B to C. If you get a 0, that's almost 60 points lower than the next higher grade, and students never really come back from that. Just learn the impact of that and how that affects a kid. and students mentally and, of course, academically. Finally, the most important thing I learned this semester is to be flexible and to stay focused on the task at hand. While I'm working on this classroom, a lot of things happened. COVID-19 happened, and then we had to move instruction from the classroom to online. And I had an opportunity to begin to just collect a different type of data, and that data involved who actually had access. We went back to the equity issue that we covered in module 1, who was actually doing the work, how are they being graded. That's modules 4. The important role on, just classroom assessments. It was very difficult to assess our kids from home. So overall, the class itself was timely, not just for this year, last year, and next year, but in instances when we have emergencies. Understanding how to use data to drive school improvement is very important. Thank you very much.